my dear class 10 students, what if I tell you scoring 500 out of 500 is not just luck or by chance or not only for toppers? Yes, you heard it right. You can also score 500 out of 500. Yes, my dear kids. Because scoring 500 out of 500 is a systematic plan. Okay, if you follow the plan, you definitely can score 500 out of 500, my dear kids. So, in this video, I have made a super plan for you guys to score 500 out of 500 in the upcoming board exams. So, do not miss even one step, my dear kids, because missing one step can cost you marks. So, let's start. First step. Important topics, my dear kids. As you know, we only have about 2 months left for our upcoming board exam. It will start from 17th Feb, right? So the time is of essence. Time is of essence. You need to prioritize the topics. Okay, you need to prioritize and study the important topics. You know, you study smarter, not harder. Okay, you focus on the topics that you study less and give you more marks. Okay, supposedly one topic make up 10% of your marks. Okay, so you should focus on that topic rather than the one only from which only 2-3 questions are coming. Okay, my dear kids. So do not worry, your ma'am has prepared all the important topics for you. Focus on these topics. From physics, light, human eye, electricity, magnetic fields of electric current. Focus on ray diagram, defects, power and resistance combination, Fleming left hand rule and Fleming right hand rule. From chemistry, these are the important topics. From chemical reactions and equations, focus on reaction, chemical reaction, balancing, corrosion and rusting. From acid, bases and salts, pH scale, reactions of acids and bases, indicators. From metals and non-metals, chemical properties of metals, extraction of ores. From carbon and its compounds, IUPAC nomenclature, functional groups, chemical reactions of alkene and homologous series. Okay, so focus on these topics, important topics. These are the important topics. If you're reading this chapter or revising this chapter, prioritize these topics. Prioritize all these topics, my dear kids. Okay, as this will help you score 500 out of 500. Okay, this will help you score full marks in science. Moving on to biology. How can we skip biology? We have 5 chapters from biology. From biology, focus on diagrams and mind maps for all the life processes. From control and coordination, focus on plant hormones, topical movements, function of each part of brain. From heredity, focus on law of genetics and their example. Plus all the blood groups are really important. From the chapter how do organisms reproduce, forms of asexual reproduction, types of pollination, importance of placenta and contraceptive methods. From our environment, yes, this is also part of biology, partly chemistry also. Numericals on the 10% law, biodegradable, non-biodegradable waste, biomagnification and bioaccumulation. Alongside ozone is also very important, my dear kids. Okay, moving on to mathematics. How can we skip mathematics? We have around 15 chapters in mathematics. So here's a list of all the important topics that you should focus on if you want to score 500 out of 500 in your upcoming board exams. Okay, let me clear you one thing. You do need to study the whole syllabus, but if you focus on these, you can easily fetch the extra marks. You can easily score well even if you studied less, my dear kids. Okay. Arithmetic progression, surface area and volume, trigonometry and quadratic equation. Focus on these. From social studies, it is a very vast 17 chapters you have, right? So prioritize map work because map work is scoring. You easily fetch 5 marks from your map work. From case-based question, you have around 12 marks coming from your case-based questions. From high weightage MCQs, you have around 20 MCQs which are high weightage. Rest, focus on your answer presentation. Whatever you have studied, my dear kids, firstly, do not worry if there are some topics left for you. You have one-shot videos. Okay, watch any one-shot video, prepare notes of that video and revise them. Okay, how do you revise it? You revise it by solving questions, solving previous year questions and sample paper, my dear kids. If you solve the questions and solve your PYQs and the sample paper, you definitely can score those extra marks, those 500 out of 500. Okay, so focus on these. Rest your answer presentation. How do you present your answer? That also matters. That is one of the steps that you need to score 500 out of 500. So moving on. timetable. Now, my dear kids, how can I not give you one timetable to study, right? You need a timetable. You do not have much time, but in that time we still can score 500 out of 500. So the timetable that I made for you, if you follow it, okay, you assume, okay, we will follow the 2:2:2 timetable. Okay, what is that timetable, ma'am? Okay, let me explain. See, you give 2 hours for maths, then you take a 2-hour break. You give 2 hours to math, then you take a 2-hour break, then you do 2 hours science, okay, right? And then you take a break, and then you do 2 hours for SST and language, okay? The break duration is not 2 hours. The break duration depends on you. If you are studying for 2 hours, then ideally you should take a break of around half an hour, okay? But after that, start studying science, as your exams are really, really soon, you know, they are coming very soon, okay? So for now, I would say, please avoid all the distractions, social media and everything, my dear kids. I have made this timetable for you. If you follow this, you are gonna score 500 out of 500. Trust me, because I have tried it myself. So firstly, start with maths, any subject of your choice. Okay, after 2 hours, take some break, then do 2 hours science, then take some break and 2 hours give for your SST and language. As you have around 5 subjects, I believe, right? Then after that, at the end of the day, do one thing. At the end of the day, revision is your best friend, okay? The more you revise, the more you will remember, the more you will retain for your exam, okay? So do a revision plus answer writing. Every day, my dear kids, I know you cannot sit for full-length mock, but try to write answers. Try to write answers for SST, for maths, okay? For science, try to do 2 to 3 answers every day, okay? And on alternate days, if possible, try to solve one PYQ or a mock test paper, okay? For each subject, okay? So 1 week, so say for example today you did the science one, give a break, and tomorrow, day after tomorrow, you do the maths one. Okay, my dear kids, that's how you are prepared for your board exams way before sitting in your board exams. Okay, my dear kids. Next one. Next step is answer writing. So even if you know, sometimes what happens in board exams, students have lots of knowledge, they have studied everything, they remember it, but the way they represent their answers, the way they write it, it clearly does not show it, okay? What the examiner is checking, do they know you personally? No, they do not know you personally. The only thing that they have to check your knowledge is that answer sheet, and if you do not represent your answer sheet properly, answers properly in that particular answer sheet, how will you score good marks? Okay, so focus on answer writing. Now here are the common mistakes that most students do. They write messy. They know everything, but they cannot form coherent. Can't write coherently. What they do, they write messy. Okay, they write everything they know. They write everything about that particular topic, and that is gonna cost you marks, my dear kids. Even if your answer is correct, they wrote crowded. Okay, sometimes you remember something, oh, I forgot it to write in that answer, so I'll just scribble it down there. No, that does not, you should not do that. That will cost you mark. Confusing, they write it, they are confused themselves. Supposedly, if you asked one question to explain the function of adrenaline gland, so you start with the functions, right? But supposedly, if you get confused, you start by explaining all the glands, and then you do the adrenaline gland. So the examiner is also confused. I asked about the functions only, and they are telling me everything. Yes, you know, my dear kids, but again, answer writing is done smartly, not hardly, okay? You need to represent your answer smartly so that examiner know that you know. Okay, that's all matters. You should write your answer in a clean, organized and easy to read way. Now, what tips are there, ma'am, for writing answers? I am telling you, write answer every day. Do answer writing practice regularly. So firstly, that major tip is start every answer on a new line. Whenever you are answering your questions in the board exam, okay, and even if you're writing at home, answer writing practice you are doing, make this habit of leaving one line in between your answers, okay, leaving one line space in between your answers, okay, that will make your answer look drastically better and neat. Actually, the answer will look much more neater, and we need the neat answer. Okay, no, see, my dear kids, I do not have a beautiful handwriting. Okay, I personally do not, but whenever I write my answers, I always write them neatly. Okay, so that the examiner can understand where one answer is ending and the other is starting. Next, instead of paragraphs, try to make bullet points, because bullet points will help you score the extra marks, my dear kids. Bullet points means if you have a paragraph, make 4 or 5 bullet points. If you have a 3 marker, make 4 bullet points. If you have a 5 marker question, make 6 7 bullet points. Okay, that is more than enough, instead of writing in a paragraph, because in a paragraph examiner will have to look for the answer. But if you make the bullet points, my dear kids, the answer is straight in front of the eye of the examiner. Okay, and he's already happy before checking your answer, right? Step-wise answer writing. Okay, in CBSE curriculum, the answer writing, whenever you're writing answer, your answer will be graded based on the number of steps you have written. Okay, yes, some might be thinking that my final answer should be correct. Yes, it should be correct, but due to some calculation mistake, some silly mistake, if you do not get the correct answer, my dear kids, then do not worry, because if you properly write it, if you step-wise written your answer, you will score complete marks. Not complete exactly, your wrong answer mark will be cut, will be deducted. Okay, but apart from that, the steps that you have written will fetch you marks. Next is underlining keywords, my dear kids. Underlining keywords, this one is the most underrated hack, I will say, because most students do not do it. But for you, I would suggest always underline all these scientific keywords, definitions, dates and the formulas. Always underline them. Okay, if you underline them, also underline them with a pencil only. If you underline them, examiner, as soon as the examiner looks at your answer sheet, they already know, oh, it has written, this kid has written all the formulas, this kid has written this definition also. Okay, plus there is an underlining keyword thing, do not overline. Okay, that is one mistake also many students do not overline. Do not underline the whole sentence, just underline the keywords, the scientific words, keywords, definitions or important dates. Okay, next is focus on correctly labeling the diagrams. Yes, my dear kids, if you correctly label your diagrams in biology majorly, if you correctly label your diagrams, you will fetch extra marks for the same diagram that other students have attempted and they did not label it properly. Okay, why? Because obviously examiner is looking for the knowledge you have. Okay, and they want to see if it is visible in your answer sheet, my dear kids. Okay, so if you label your diagrams, examiner already know that you know the diagram, whatever the function of these in biology majorly. Okay, so always correctly label your diagrams. Next tip, silly mistakes. Okay, now we already have the important topics that we need to focus on. We have the timetable 2:2:2, right? And what do we have? Answer writing tips. That is very important. Okay, so focus on the timetable, answer writing and the important topics. Start from the important topics. Now these were all the positives, right? There is something that you need to avoid also. That was something that you need to do. But there are some things that you need to avoid, my dear kids, to avoid losing marks in the board exam. Now, what are these silly mistakes that most kids do? They do not read the question paper properly. First is they do not read the question paper correctly. They know it. I know my students know everything. Okay, they remember whole syllabus. You are a very hardworking kid, but sometimes due to the exam panic or nervousness, you do not read the question paper properly. Okay, and that is gonna cost you marks, my dear kids. Yes, even if you know the answer correctly, you know all the options, you know all the answers, you all subparts, but you did not read your question properly. Okay, that is gonna cost you marks, and we do not want that to happen. So always do one thing. Whenever you are reading a question, read it twice. Read it twice. Okay, go through it twice before you start to answer it. Because if you start answering it incorrectly, you will cut it, and your answer writing, as I've told you, answer presentation is very important. If you already have cuts and your sheet is not looking neat, it is gonna cost you marks. Next is bad paper presentation. Again, if you did not read your question properly, you will write the answer wrong, and then if you do remember it, you will try to correct it. You will do a cross. Your answer sheet is already looking bad enough. Okay, so do not do that mistake. Poor time management. Every student is getting 3 hours only, right? But if you properly manage, if you give, you go from your home and already decide, that I have 3 sections in science, right? So let's say if I have 3 hours and I have 3 sections, so then I'll do 1 hour each. But you need time for revision also. You need time to revision also. So effectively manage your time when you are writing your answer. And practice with a clock, I would say. Practice with a clock. Because I believe in the examination hall, you cannot take your watches. Okay. In there, only the watches that are in the classroom, only that will be available for you. Okay. Plus the teacher can also tell you time. Do not worry. But for your own sake, be mentally prepared and already make a plan that I am going to give this 3-hour test and 3-hour mock test, or I am giving to give this 3-hour board exam. Already go before going decide that I am going to give each section this much time, and if it crosses that time, then obviously I'm going to lose marks. So that's why I'm saying practice, practice, practice. Answer writing, practice. Okay, last one, that is a very silly mistake. You know everything, you have the knowledge, but you panic and you overthink. Okay, overthinking is something that is very common for this generation. Okay, and panicking also. So in case when you do overthink or you panic, take a deep, calm breath, my dear kids, and relax. Okay, because this is a board exam. Okay, this is just a board exam. It is not going to decide your life. Okay, so yes, if you score 500 out of 500, that is good. But if you do not, that is also good. Okay. Do not let that paper decide your life. Okay. It is you, my dear kids. Whatever lies inside you, that should decide your life. Okay. Not these marks. Okay. So that was my final tip for you all. So that was all. I really hope you all do score 500 out of 500 in your upcoming board exams. All the best, my dear kids. Take care.